Thank you very much, Pamir Essa and Navyot Sandhu, for both thought-provoking, interesting, and of course a challenging opening here for all of those of us who still feel young at heart but know that we are around middle-aged at least. And I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to address such a diverse gathering. I think we are united here by our common interests and desire for positive change and the desire for developing of our world. And you have asked me to talk about my personal leadership, and optimism is an important element of this. Well, I'm going to be a politician. I'm going to speak a little bit about policies also, and not just about personal leadership. Because I think it's knowing what the challenges are that is the most important part for how to deal with your leadership. And I would strongly believe that we can make positive change happen, that we can drive development in the right direction, both for Norway as a country, but also for the whole world. Or just to quote former President Obama, we are the change that we seek. And I think it's important for all of us to take notice of that. We are also facing an increasing turbulent and unpredictable world. There are strong forces today opposing both globalization, international trade. We see that isolism is on the rise. This is a big challenge to a small and open economy such as Norway's. We are a small country, heavily dependent on international trade, with a very open economy. But Norway is, even though we are ranking high on most international statistics, still facing several challenges. And of course that's important for a politician because we live of trying to solve these challenges. If there are no challenges, there's no need for politicians. But to be serious, I think Norway is in a very good situation to start to tackle these challenges, but we have to know what the challenges facing us are. And I think that's an important part of having a leadership role and making sure that we know. And we have tried to say this, what we in Norwegian will call bærekraftig velferdssamfunn, but in English I would say it's to make sure that our welfare society is sustainable. And I would like to emphasize sustainable, maybe a little bit different, more in line with what we do when we discuss the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals for the whole world, than just to discuss sustainability in just the environmental aspect. One of the aspects of sustainability is the environment. To make sure that we climate-wise and in protection of our country and our contributions to the world, take that in our model for developing in the future. But Norway also have a situation where we have to make sure that we are sustainable economically. Because Norway has this open economy. We are an oil-based economy, which means that we are in transition now when the world is changing, which means that we also have to find new areas in the economy. But the also important part is to be socially sustainable, having an inclusive economic growth, making sure that when we meet all the new challenges that I'm going to say a few words about, also take the human aspects and make sure that people are participating in the labor force and having ability to, in fact, develop themselves in our societies. Because if you look at Europe and a lot of the conflicts that we have had and the political turbulence we have had the last years, one of the answers is we have not managed the social sustainabilities of our society. Two large parts of our societies are feeling on the outside of the economic growth and the development of our countries. So there are some important megatrends that will test us in the years to come. And I would like to highlight three of them. And you have heard all about them all before, but I'll just continue to mention it. First, the digital revolution. The recent shifts in technology, in business model calls for shifts in policies as well. We have to answer these shifts by making new policies in our countries. Sharing economy, big data, Industry 4.0, Internet of Things, all of these new developments are positive things, but it's also challenging. Or it means that we have to make many changes. For example, in our taxation system, we have to make sure that companies in fact contribute to our social societies in the future. In private legislation, the second big mega trend is of course globalization. The global competition is increasing, while agreements on international trade are under pressure. And last but not least, new climate change policies are being introduced throughout the world, which also means that we will have different arena for the competition in the future. Tighter regulations, new challenges for many industries. And at the same time, it is opening new opportunities for other businesses. We need to active participation of the business and industries in this. The Paris Agreement is a powerful signal to markets that know it's time to invest in the low-emission economy. And Norway's policy responses can be summarized in 3 words: greener, smarter, and more innovative, which is also, in fact, the name of the white paper of our new industry policies that we delivered this spring to Parliament. Green means competitive business in low-emission economy. We have shifted our tax policies to encourage low-carbon businesses, low-carbon choices by consumers. Among results is a massive growth in the number of electric cars in this country, which is helping us to reduce CO2 emissions from the transportation sector. And through our large fund, Enova, we are investing in green innovation, providing financing for climate-friendly business projects, and supporting the development of new energy and climate technologies. And we will continue to develop policies that make Norway greener. The second aspect is that we have to be smarter. Smart in the sense that profitable, knowledge-based industries are needed to underpin our level of welfare. I usually say that Norway should not become a cheaper country, we should become a smarter country. We should not compete on having the lowest costs, we should compete on having the best profitable investments because of innovative capabilities. And we are an expensive country. I'm not saying we should be more expensive, but we should not do that as the biggest competition level. That's why we have to put more resources into schools, higher education, and to the research. We have taken important steps to improve the quality of teaching and increasing teaching resources for the youngest children. And we are also seeking to enable everyone to be part of the labor market. This is the best way of ensuring a fulfilling and financially secure future for each and every one of us and for the nation as a whole. We need to make sure that leave no one behind. It's not just an SDG slogan for the poorest people, but it's also for those, let's say, middle-aged women and men who see that their jobs are changing rapidly with new technology and that they need new technology and knowledge to continue to stay in the labor market. That's part of the social inclusion in the future in our society. And likewise, we have stepped up the spending on research to boost innovation, and which is, in fact, my third and final point. We need to be more innovative in our country because Norway is facing a shift away from a carbon economy. We have to create a large number of new jobs in the years to come. And we all know that this is not easy. It's difficult to find a business that is as profitable as the oil and gas industry has been and who still is legal. There are some very profitable businesses, but they are not part of the business model of Norway for the future. So we have put in place a number of measures to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. These include tax incentives to stimulate research and development in Norwegian trade and industry, and other measures are aimed at supporting new businesses and entrepreneurs. So in summary, there are these key policies for a greener, smarter, and more innovative future for Norway is the important political aspects. And as a political leader, I think it's important to set where the future is going. And I can help to provide a framework, provide direction for the development. We can also use the public sector as a driver of change, not at least in a country like Norway, where the public sector is quite big. And we are doing that by buying greener, driving digitalization, and encouraging innovation also in the public sector. But back to the quotes I had earlier. You are the change that we seek. It's imperative that companies, industries, and organizations make these challenges their own. Development, innovation, and new ideas are not created by political resolutions alone. As I see it, we are partners in this work. And I'm an optimist. I believe that we all are part of the solution. And together, I believe that we will continue to achieve positive change and development. And by that, I would like to just say thank you. Hope you have interesting discussions. And hope that I'll see you also on the big discussions in the future on how we can become greener, more innovative, and smarter. And not just that the young people push us. Let those of us at our age also push forward. Thank you. And I think there was time for a couple of questions. Who is in charge of questions? I have, in fact, Jonas Vettre Thorsen is supposed to ask me a question. This is not arranged.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for that fantastic introduction. As a future employee in Norway, I have one question. The modern world faces an increase in globalization and migration of workers and business between nations. This creates exciting times with endless opportunities and a new way to define the workforce globally. How will the Norwegian government use these opportunities to stimulate innovation and new growth in Norway?
Well, I think it's important that Norwegian students also get a sense of the globalization. That's why we are one of the few countries in Europe that still have free education at university level for everybody who comes here. That means that you can come and participate at the university, means that we lead to more globalization that way. It also means that we are trying to get more Norwegian students to go abroad to learn more. And we also see that a lot of our higher education institutes like the universities and the other higher education institutes, in fact, have a lot of foreign students coming here. That leads to better globalization and the better knowledge of each other. There's a lot of our institutes and universities who also are participating in education in other countries. For example, having business schools in China and having students from China who are applying to that in our business course. The second thing we do is that we are even though we have a strict migration policy to Norway, we still have a quite open policy on skilled labor, meaning that if you have qualifications, it's not that difficult. If you have a job offer in Norway, it's quite easy if you have skills and if you can prove them to in fact get a job in our country. One of the more difficult things, of course, is that most jobs in Norway is done in Norwegian, which I understand is not a world language, so means that there are sometimes challenges to that. But we believe that we need this. We need Norwegian companies that can easily access good competence and skills from other countries, and we do believe that Norwegians should go abroad to work for some time to also get the knowledge of different markets and come back to continue to work in Norway.
Thank you so much.
And I think Yun Lin Yu, somewhere there.
Thank you, dear Prime Minister. So, since the bilateral relationship between China and Norway has improved a lot over the last year, so both countries are seeking for collaboration opportunities. So I'm just wondering which field is the Norwegian government most interested in working together with Chinese government, business, and various organizations? And how can Norway and China work together to build a sustainable future from this collaboration? Thank you.
Thank you. I think there is a large range of business opportunities, both for Chinese companies in Norway and Norwegian companies in China. When I was in China in April, we had, I can't remember how many, but very many MOUs signed, business accords signed between companies to further research and development, to cooperate in the shipping industries, to do it in the energy sector. But of course, Norway has interests in fisheries and fish farming, and I think there's a whole range of these areas. And I think the most important part is that we have a platform for companies to cooperate together. We know that we are quite good in a lot of fields in our country. We know that China has a large market, and also our technology has a very big market if it comes into the Chinese market. We also know that some of our environmental solutions are good for a large country like China. So I think it's only the fantasy that puts the limit. I think you can find very large different areas, and I am sure that we also will try to sell brunost. If you don't know that, that's a traditional brown cheese that tastes like caramel. It's only Norwegian and Norwegian Americans that like it, but we always try to push it on other people, and we'll try to do that on the Chinese market too. So, thank you, and have a nice day.